it starts with, what does your world need? So in our case, the end market of senior living. What do we think we do well? And then find that intersection of what is our purpose and how we take what we do well and serve that industry that has a need.
Welcome to Season 8 of Bridge the Gap, a podcast dedicated to informing, educating, and influencing the future of housing and services for seniors. The BTG network is powered by sponsors Aline, NICMAP, ProCare HR, Sage, Hamilton Captel, ServiceMaster, The Bridge Group Construction, and Solinity, and produced by Solinity Marketing.
Bridge the Gap in 3, 2. Welcome to Bridge the Gap podcast, the senior living podcast with Josh and Lucas. Beautiful day here in Nashville and a very exciting event here from Aline. We just sat through an incredible morning keynote speaker, and I feel very inspired right now. And it's a great time to kind of get this kicked off. We want to welcome the new Aline CEO, Brandon Logsdon. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. And you're right, that was incredibly inspiring.
Yeah. And so we came in yesterday and we were able to, be a part of y'all's kickoff. And we've attended a lot of conferences, events. We've actually put on our own events, and there's a lot of energy here. It's actually really exciting. And you know what? We're not surprised. We've seen the growth of Aline and just what has been created, and the products and services that you bring to our industry is really a first, I would say. And, from your perspective, coming into this event and interacting with your customers and your teams, what do you think that the industry really needs right now?
First of all, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It's one of I'd say the answer to that question is a big reason why I was so motivated to come to Aline and to have the opportunity to serve this industry. What better mission than helping operators who serve so many of our loved ones to operate more efficiently so that they can focus on what matters. Like that, you think about what we just heard from the speaker in the other room, but equally that is a very empowering and motivating mission call to action. I'll tell a story later this afternoon about my wife's grandfather, Papa Joe, and the journey of meeting him at his 90th birthday and seeing him live in a community till the day he died at 100. And his goal in life was to make it to 100. And seeing how the people in this community, as he was a resident, walked alongside of him and cared for him from the independent stage to the assisted stage, to he had a couple blips where he fell and went into skilled nursing, and then ultimately 8 days before he died, meeting my youngest, my son, in that room at the facility. And so when I think about that, and I think about the care he received, and I think about the journey we're on at Aline, and how we can help an operator focus on what matters using technology. And ultimately, when I think about this industry, candidly, prior to Aline, and to your point, kind of first of kind, there are, just to be blunt, too many point solutions that an operator has to cobble together that are disparate and therefore don't communicate to one another on the back end, that make it too difficult to do business. And so if we can help operators operate more effectively using technology that talks to one another, that's truly exciting. And it's a big reason why I'm here. I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
Well, it is exciting. There's a lot of energy here. We're just getting started. Coming off that keynote, he talked so much about the value of the lives that we care for in these communities and what an important role it is and how to engage them in their purpose. As long as they have life, as long as they're breathing, they have this years of experience, this wealth of knowledge. And he talked also really about his journey in wellness and how a big part of that is finding your purpose. And so what an opportunity as you guys at Aline are equipping operators to do better to not only just work more efficiently, like run the business, but to really make an impact in people's quality of life and their wellness at one of the most frail, but yes, one of the most useful parts of their life, where all these life experiences culminate into this high value proposition that they can then share not only to the caregivers that are helping them, but to the next generation, right?
That's exactly right. Thinking about purpose, there's a process that has been very helpful to me in my professional career in finding purpose. And we're going to embark upon this within the Aline management team and the broader company as, coming into the door as the new CEO, an opportunity to interact and kind of share kind of my perspective on finding purpose. It's a really simple process. It starts with, what does your world need? So in our case, the end market of senior living. What do we think we do well? And then find that intersection of what is our purpose and how we take what we do well and serve that industry that has a need. And really looking forward to that, to kind of, there's already a great mission, a great purpose at Aline. One of the other great opportunities for me personally is coming into a business that's very vibrant, as you mentioned, in an industry that's vibrant. It's very healthy. Brad Frazier, who I'm succeeding, has done a fantastic job in building the foundation of Aline. And so the opportunity to come in, think about some of these things to, fine tune, to put a stamp on, if you will, really has me optimistic and excited for what's to come.
Fresh eyes coming in. What are some maybe glaring things that are staring at you right now that are obvious, that are challenges that our industry has that we have to overcome together?
First thing I would say, what I talked about earlier, I mean, it's hard to run a community. There is a continuum. I think about it, we have a wheel, if you will, that is in kind of the Aline materials. I think of it more of kind of a left to right, like the way a book reads, because you have to find a resident, you have to make sure that there's a good fit with that resident in your community. Then you have to think about the stages that resident will go through that care continuum, resident life cycle, as I know it's called in the industry. And every step of that journey is an opportunity to fine tune, an opportunity to right size, an opportunity to create more efficiency and effectiveness, data efficacy. And so it is a difficult business to run. I mean, that's the first thing, right? And then you just think about the care part, the human side of it, and the fact that, yes, it's a business, and yes, profits are always important. And then there's an investor on the other side of the operator, and there's cap rates and there's returns and all of those things. But in the middle of all of that, there's this very emotional human side of the industry. And so synthesizing that, I think, is one, a big challenge, but it's also the big opportunity, right? If we as Aline can continue on this journey of from the time of acquisition and qualification to the end of that journey, whatever that looks like for that resident in that particular community, if we can create the visibility in the form of a singular customer record, and then devise the right data signals through an integrated data infrastructure, so that whether it be now a caregiver, whether it be management of the operating company, whether it be management of the investor, at any given time can see what is happening relative to the residents and how those residents now, depending on what their job is, what they're trying to find relative to the life cycle of that resident, whether it be financial, whether it be care continuum, et cetera. If we can create that in a single dashboard, single voice of truth, let's call it a system of record, that can be a rising tide for communities all over the country.
As the exclusive data partner of the Bridge the Gap podcast, NICMAP delivers unparalleled insights to senior housing professionals for better decision-making. Their extensive database of over 35,000 properties provides critical data supporting operators, investors, lenders, developers, and other industry stakeholders.
NICMAP delivers comprehensive nationwide coverage of demographics, migration trends, with rate and occupancy data of 140 metro markets. NICMAP equips you with the information needed to confidently navigate market complexities and uncertainties. Visit nicmap.com to learn more and speak with a product expert today.
So aside from the day job, the mission in front of you that your team is out there doing every day, you guys have put together an incredible feat with the Aline Summit. We're here. Lucas and I know events, know how much it takes. So you guys have had a huge planning process. So there must be a ton of an intentionality and thought that goes into these attendees that have come in from all over the country that are excited here. What are some of the goals and takeaways? Because I know many of our listeners are not here. They need to know about this. So what are you hoping that each participant takes away from Aline Summit 25?
First, let me say this. So Aaron Hayes, who is the president of Aline, was the founder of Inquire. This was kind of a personal passion project of hers. She had a real vision around this, partnering with our marketing department, Tim Poindexter, and they've done a phenomenal job putting the event together. New to industry, new to the company, arrived yesterday afternoon, didn't really know what to expect.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah, but didn't know what to expect. Walk in and immediately was just blown away, right? The level of, to the points you've made, the professionalism, the atmosphere they've created. One thing that stands out to me, and it's something I've seen successful in other industries, is it's not just Aline that's here. It's not just the customers of Aline that's here, but it's the broader ecosystem. A lot of our partners are here. And I think that's really important, because I think if I am, employed in a community or an investor, management, whatever it might be, I want to come to a conference that, yes, I can interact with Aline or the entity hosting it. But more importantly, I want to be able to see a clear picture of the ecosystem. And so I think it's very wise of the team in putting this together and being thoughtful about how to devise a program that's inclusive of not just the aligners that are here, our products, our services, but a lot of the ecosystem partners that we're dependent on, and therefore the communities are dependent on, to create the experience we're trying to create for the residents.
Well, it reminds me of the phrase, Josh, we've been doing this for many years now. The phrase that has come up, but I haven't really seen a true path to actually solving this or actually coming up with this or defining it, is the phrase high tech, high touch. And Bob Kramer was the first time I'd ever heard that. And, kind of positioning what the future of senior housing looks like, of, yes, adopting these new technologies, but never really losing what's most important, which is that human care, human touch. And what you are outlining to me really is the roadmap to that perfect balance of high tech, high touch. I know that you've really kind of laid that out, but any new thoughts or any additional thoughts come to mind when I say that?
Obviously, we're in a paradigm today where I'll kind of go back several years. Years ago, a conference came on the scene in the industry I came from called Money 2020. Money 2020 at the time was, kind of the fintech conference to be at. And I'll never forget early on being there, and the speaker was a big data expert. And it was interesting because at the time, big data was what everyone was talking about. And his call to action that day was, yes, we're all talking about big data, but nobody's really doing it effectively. And so now I think about where we are today, and here at Aline, connecting all data through all the applications that we have, and have now acquired new applications with Grove Menu and with Rubric, into a common data infrastructure so that we can actually deliver the promise of true integration. Now I think about the time where we are with AI. AI to me feels a lot like where big data was 10, 12 years ago. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody clearly understands the promise, but to execute on the premise, you have to be thoughtful, right? You have to really think through consequences, unintended or otherwise. And that's kind of where we are right now with AI, is both, I think, broad market, but Aline, we see a ton of promise of things now that we can do to create signals in the data by having data integrated, using AI to do the work for us, to become smarter, more proactive. And that kind of tech forward, high tech, high touch, I mean, that's really what's going to create the high touch with high tech, is the ability to smartly use data, take some human manpower, out of the picture using AI to replace what otherwise would need to be a team of analysts, et cetera, and provide now an operator a data signal. Things, I'll give you an example. In this industry, early days, one use case of a problem that's come up that people talk about is revenue leakage. And the fact that, you have the care continuum and then you have a billing platform. And how do you make sure those two things are in sync? Because every time there's a change in care, there should be probably some sort of requisite change in billing. But that doesn't always happen. Why? Because historically, those systems are not integrated. Well, through our leasing and billing, and through our care applications, and through now our data infrastructure, and through AI, we're able to start to build some data signals that can start to solve those problems.
Well, it's really exciting. And so I had the opportunity to be out in some of the networking areas last night. I was at the opening reception. And I think it's going to be pretty magical to see what comes from all the conversations, because you have some very excited operators, managers, administrators, regionals, VPs here that are all talking about the same challenges that they've been talking about in their own individual communities. But it's interesting to see when they start collaborating and having those discussions and talking about ideas of how to solve problems with your teams of professionals here. And so many people on the topic of AI have actually, I heard in the hallway, actually came in specifically to get some education and some guidance and some tools on that. So I think when we're sitting here next year at this time, Lucas, it's going to be fun to see some of the results and in the improvements and how we move the industry forward just by coming together and working together on events like this. So that's exciting. You've got to feel good about that.
100%. I mean, look, I think as a company, with the aspiration of Aline to connect an ecosystem, to become a system of record company, a true enterprise software company serving the senior living community with fit for purpose applications that connect from the point of acquisition and engagement all the way through, again, when somebody is out of that facility. That's it's a high calling. It's a big opportunity. It takes a village, right? We have to bring everybody together and be inclusive, not exclusive, relative to how we listen, how we learn, how we interact with the partner ecosystem. Come on podcasts like this with people that have an interest in making sure this industry is growing, thriving, accountable, right? All of those things come to mind and come into play.
We know you're getting pulled in a million directions. Thank you for what you're doing at the helm of Aline and for our industry. We'll look forward to watching it all unfold and being your biggest fans as we go about the hallways here at Aline Summit.
Well, thank you. Great to be on the show. And again, thanks for all the work you guys are doing. This is fantastic to have a voice like this in this industry.
Well, we appreciate your time. Thanks, Brandon, for sitting with us, and excited for your new role and excited to be here. So for our listeners that want to learn more, you can scroll down into those podcast notes. You can go to btgvoice.com, connect with Aline and our content here. And we know that you're going to love to hear all of this. And thanks for your time. And thanks for listening to another great episode of Bridge the Gap.
Thanks for listening to Bridge the Gap podcast with Josh and Lucas. Connect with the BTG Network team and use your voice to influence the industry by connecting with us at btgvoice.com.